Hi guys, so these are just some solving notes as to how to add and subtract radicals. So the worksheet does start off pretty nice and easy. So if you have a radical 10 plus a radical 10, remember they need to be the same exact radical in order to add them. And really there's a 1 in front here and then there's a 1 in front here. So if I have one radical 10 plus another radical 10, then what you can do is add those two together, you get 2 radical 10. So it's that easy. If this was 1 radical 10 plus 2 radical 10, you'd have 3 radical 10. So add the numbers in front and the radicals do not change. Like this, radical 8 plus radical 8, 1 plus 1 is 2 radical 8. But wait, it's not in my answer. Oh no. So the problem being is 2 radical 8 is good, but beyond there you have to reduce the radical. So you notice that none of your answers have this 2 radical 8. Because radical 8, you have to remember this whole tree thing. Right? So you may have to reduce some radicals. So radical 8, remember, is 2 times 4, which also breaks down further. So use the trees or use those calculators that do help reduce it as well. But you're looking for pairs, right? Square roots, we want pairs. And I see a pair of 2's here. Then I have this leftover 2 here. So this is a 2 radical 2. So really the radical 8 itself becomes 2 radical 2, right? That's this answer. But you also have a 2. Well, that's a pretty bad 2. Let me erase that. So you also have this 2 in front, which is going to work like this. So there's that 2. That's not a whole lot better. But you get it. So that's 2 radical 2, and then this 2 sits in front. So it's 2 times radical 8, which is 2 radical 2. And you only multiply the whole number 2's that are in front. This radical does not get combined. So it becomes 4, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 radical 2. Now that's an answer that you have in your list, right? That's option A. So really, be careful. If you do get an answer like 2 radical 8, that's good. But any radical you have, break down. That radical 8 is actually a 2 radical 2. When you multiply this only by that whole number, right? Only like terms. So that's a 4 radical 2. Right, so let me look down a little bit further because these do get more tricky. Like, let's see, I'll do number 9 just because there's no negatives. Makes it a little bit easier. But 2 radical 8 and 2 radical 18, there is no solution here that you can see. It's not radical 8 plus radical 18. They have to be the same radical in order to add. So there's got to be a way I can reduce these radicals. Well, if you remember, radical 8, I just did that up here. Just go back up for a second. Radical 8 is this 2 radical 2. So I'm going to use that down here. So you can do the tree again. But 2, I'm going to write it here. 2 times this 2 radical 2. Remember, radical 8 is 2 radical, come on. 2 radical 2. So this first portion is really 4 radical 2. So I'll put that over here. 4 radical 2. Right, so I don't see a radical 2 on this side, so we can't combine them yet, but we have to reduce. So if I put in, let's see, I'll put radical 18, I'll do it up top here just for some room. Radical 18 works down, and if I break it down, it's 2 times 9. And you'll notice that 9 is a nice number. 9 is a 3 times 3. Right, oops, I forgot my little lines. So 9 breaks down to 3 times 3, but it's a pair of 3, so this is 3 radical 2. Right, so if I have 3 radical 2, just from radical 18, but I also have this 2 in front, it becomes 2, right, times 3 radical 2, and you only multiply those numbers in front, so this is really a 6 radical 2. So this other piece, right, combines to become I'll put it right here, plus 6 radical 2. And now look, we converted, try and make a nicer 2 there, it's a 6 radical 2. So this 2 radical 8 was right here. It becomes 4 radical 2. That's right here. The other side, 2 radical 18. Well, radical 18 was this 3 radical 2. And you multiply by that 2 in front to become 6 radical 2. And now look, 4 radical 2 plus 6 radical 2, they have the same radicals. Now it becomes 10. Right? 4 plus 6 is 10 radical 2. So there's C. Right, so really in these, the hardest part is reducing those radicals to make them a little nicer and a little friendlier. So take your time with that. So the big skill is work on the radicals, right? Reduce those down. And then if there is a number being multiplied in front, multiply that by only the first number. right? That's going to convert that. And then once you have the same radicals and reduced, you can combine them to get your final answer. All right, I'll do one more here. Let's see, let me pick out another one. How about, let's do number 16 here. No, I'll do one of the multiple ones. That's even better. So number 18, you've got radical 54, radical 3, radical 6. So nothing is going to combine there, right? All different radicals. This 54 looks like it could reduce. So I'm going to do that here. All right, so radical 54. So I know radical 54 is 9 times 6. Right, so you could do that. You could do 2 times 27, whichever. But when you break it down, you got a pair of 3s. Here they are. Right, and then you've got a leftover, a 2 and a 3. Almost got me there. Radical, there we go. So 3 times 3 times 2 times 3. So one pair. And then these are both leftovers. Right? So this really becomes 3 radical 6. Okay, so that's just the radical part. So that's radical 54 reduced, but notice there's a negative 2 in front. So if I take that negative 2 and I multiply by that, this first piece alone just becomes negative 6. I'll put it down below here. So this is negative 6 radical 6. So we start there. And then 2 radical 3. Does radical 3 break down? No, it's only 1 and 3. So I can bring that over. So that doesn't reduce any further. That's nice. So 2 radical 3. Takes me longer to write than it is to work these out sometimes. Plus, we have to find out the last one. Does 3 times radical 6 reduce? Well, remember radical 6 is 2 times 3, but there is no set of pairs. So that's actually reduced. So 3 radical 6 stays that way. So reduce what you can, and then we'll look for our final answer. Well, if I go back to this, let me just change my little line here. This negative 6 radical 6 and 3 radical 6, only these two pieces will combine because you've got the same radicals. So I can combine only those two. So negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Right, negative 3 radical 6. The radicals don't change. And then you also have plus 2 radical 3 at the end. So plus, whoa, that's supposed to be a 2. So plus 2 radical 3. Okay, so, and once I get to that point, you've got negative 3 radical 6 plus 2 radical 3. Since these radicals are not the same, you cannot combine them. So that's it. So look for your answer choices. Negative 3 radical 6, oh, there's one, there's one. So it could be either of those, but it's plus 2 radical 3, so hey, there we go. There's your last answer. All right. So hopefully this helps out. But reduce your radicals, combine things appropriately, and it should make a little bit more sense out of these. All right. That should help. Thanks, guys.